Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's CITI program webinar. Today's topic is the Playbook, Successfully Developing and Deploying Digital Clinical Measures, and it is presented by Andy Coravos and Jennifer Goldsack. Just a few quick notes. This webinar will be recorded, and the recording will be available on the CITI program's website. This webinar is also for educational purposes only. It is not designed to provide legal advice or legal guidance. You should consult with your organization's attorneys if you have questions or concerns about the relevant laws and regulations discussed in this webinar. In addition, the views expressed in the webinar are solely those of the presenters. Now, let me tell you about today's presenters. Andy Coravos is the CEO and co-founder of Elektra Labs, which is building a digital medicine platform for decentralized clinical trials. She also serves as a research collaborator at the Harvard-MIT Center for Regulatory Science. Formerly, she served as an entrepreneur in residence at the FDA, working in the digital health unit, focusing on the pre-cert program and policies around software as a medical device and artificial intelligence and machine learning. Previously, Andy worked as a software engineer at Akili Interactive Labs, which is a leading digital therapeutic company. She serves on the board of the Digital Medicine Society, and she's an advisor to the Biohacking Village at DEF CON. Jennifer Goldsack co-founded and serves as the executive director of the Digital Medicine Society, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing digital medicine to optimize human health. Jen's research focuses on applied approaches to the safe, effective, and equitable use of digital technologies to improve health, healthcare, and health research. She is a member of the Roundtable on Genomics and Precision Health at the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine.
Ideally, in our time together, we will help you identify ways to select, develop, and deploy sort of digital clinical measures or remote patient monitoring across a variety of different contexts, across clinical research, across patient care, and across public health. Really importantly, we'll also think about how you can identify ethical considerations associated with using these technologies. And importantly, in this really collaborative space, we'll also support you in recognizing the right partners for you. Who are your colleagues? What does good look like as you start to think about partners to further this field? So with that, Andy, let me hand back to you. And maybe you want to introduce folks to the Playbook.
Amazing. Yes, wonderful. We're so excited you're here. And we're also very grateful for CITI because this is quite an unusual setup that we have. And we think that they have a very forward stance to be able to let us do that. And what I mean by that is the Playbook is entirely open access, which means that what we're presenting to you in these sets of slides, you can download, you can use, and the Playbook itself is 400 pages long, which is a very, very long thing, which we will not cover in this session. What we're going to do today is the learning objectives, and we're going to use actual Playbook slides so that you can see what they're like. You can repurpose these. And so the Playbook itself is on digital clinical measures, and it overlooks across research, care, and public health. It was, we'll tell you a little bit more about what we mean by tour of duty. So the first version of the Playbook was created by the list of companies that you're seeing below, an organization.
So how do we think about these things in the clinical research environment? As we go through this stepwise process, there are clinical research or considerations that are probably quite unique to clinical research at each one of these stages. And what we do is try and make it as accessible as possible for folks with a background in clinical research to be able to access those considerations in the order in which they're used to operationalizing their teams. And you can see that laid out here for you. As a bit of a guide, if you do go to the Playbook after this, Andy mentioned the different colors that we use to highlight the different sections. You'll see that when you see this green highlighter color, that means you're in a section of the Playbook that is giving you the unique considerations for clinical trials.
So this, as we had said earlier, one of the kind of crazy things that we did, and we're super grateful CITI let us do this too, is the Playbook is published under Creative Commons 4.0 with attribution. So what that actually means is you can download it, you can remix it, you can adapt it, you can put your company's logo on everything. You could even sell it if you wanted to, as long as it's attributed. And the reason why we did this is we know so many people have been having questions like this. We know often there's like individual groups, you have to hire a certain consulting firm. Like this is probably one of the best resources that you can use as a foundation for your team. Now Jen will also tell you a little bit about how the next tours are involved and some of the people that are involved in next tour duties and like how this thing's going to get evolved and built over time too.
Fantastic. Thanks, Andy. So I do encourage folks to go over to playbook.dimesociety.org. Not only will this recording be posted and hopefully valuable to you and your colleagues, and again, to echo Andy's thanks for CITI, but also there's additional...
All right, so we now have some time for a few questions from the audience. And again, I encourage all of our audience members to submit any questions that you do have in the Q&A area while we go through this. So our first question is, how do we navigate private corporations collecting medical data and not having their own IRB resources at times?
So there's a couple of things here. Maybe I'll start and then Andy, you follow me because it's a complex question. So I think, first of all, there's, I have previously worked at private corporations that access data. This gets to the critically important pieces that you'll see in the playbook on doing really thoughtful consent. And actually doing these things digitally allows you to be much more patient-centric, allows you to be really thoughtful and intentional and actually gauge whether the consent is truly informed through questions, for example, embedded within the app itself. So I think that sort of best practice holds firm. I'd also argue that, fortunately, we're in a day and age where IRBs are not out of reach to folks who aren't at academic centers. There are commercial IRBs that are available. And, a lot of this is Well, I would say, instead of just thinking that the IRB solves all your problems, I think it's really important to pick IRBs. Like some of them are much better than other ones. And really thinking about not IRB as compliance, but IRB as what is it really doing for you? And is that actually solving the underlying issues that you have? So as you think about data protections, many tech companies probably have some of the best security protections that other groups might not have. So there are some reasons from a security standpoint that you might want to go for bigger tech companies. As you think about, or private corporations, as you think about data rights and privacy and the governance of different types of data, these things are not easy. So if you think about if you think the answer is simple, one example with GDPR, people want to have the right to be forgotten where you can delete everything. If you're running a clinical trial, you do not want somebody deleting their data. And in fact, many instances, you need to maintain that data over a period of time. And so
I also invite everyone to review our content offerings regularly, as we are continually adding new courses and webinars in various areas of research, ethics, compliance, and professional development. All of our content is available to you anytime through organizational and individual subscriptions.